Hello and welcome back. Today we are continuing our USA run. Last episode, we just did kind of a lot of building, a lot of cranking up, a lot of, preparing for some major conflicts. This was kind of our come up here. And this episode, we're going to get engaged in some major conflicts. Now, we left off on a bit of a cliffhanger, whether or not we would be going for India, the British East India Company, or for Great Qing. I think India is going to be the better one, but currently, the UK, if I'm not mistaken, is paying us bankroll. So I'd rather not just nullify that bankroll. I think it actually lasts 5 years. France was paying us a bankroll and then they stopped. Big Sag. Actually, maybe we just go for them. The thing is we want them to schism into a whole bunch of different countries, and this is a roll. It doesn't always happen, but usually they split up into Bengal, and so I think what we're going to do is we are going to come in here, and we are going to declare for some random nonsense on Britain. Actually, can we just declare on them? I'm pretty sure Britain gets pulled into this automatically if we declare ban slavery, but maybe they don't. We can't declare on Britain anything. We can't even declare for open market, which normally is kind of how you go about something. But if we can just declare on them and then release Bengal, actually can't release Bengal because the capital's over here. But if we could release a bunch of stuff just from the British East India Company, this is fine too. If Great Britain doesn't get involved, so we'll just go ban slavery. We'll say you let them all go. Actually, let's see if we can release anyone specifically. I don't think we can. I think we can just ban the slavery. Yeah, let's ban the slavery and see exactly how this unfolds. I think, yeah, we do get a play against Great Britain, and then we will put liberate subject, and we will put liberate the British East India Company, which is all we want, and we will make this primary. And so once they are free, we don't need to transfer them. Transferring them would actually be worse for the purpose of us getting to 500 million pops, but what we're hoping is that once we get them broken away, they just fall apart, and we just get a bunch of other countries that are not the British East India Company that have migration controls, except they accept their pops, unlike the British East India Companies, whose primary culture is English. Theirs would be all these Indian ones, and then because they are accepted, they would be allowed to emigrate. Now, they can't emigrate to our country because they wouldn't be accepted there, at least currently, because we have cultural exclusion, and we will need to find a way to get onto multiculturalism. And so I guess this is perhaps a little bit long-term, but okay. Okay, for this war, we're actually going to mobilize our meme stack, which is almost certainly bad, because this is, way too gratuitous, and it's going to be the wrong ratios and everything else, but kind of wanted to mobilize this 1K stack, so we're going to mobilize this battalion, and we see, American South Africa is revolting. We see that they are pretty worried about this, and they also have a ton of loans. I wonder why they're paying a ton of money. Whatever could be causing them to pay just a ludicrous amount of money. Who could possibly attest to this sort of thing? Are we going to have, we have our first native uprising. We have it here, and this is a little bit of a problematic one. You see, it's problematic because we can't actually get to this front. So I'm wondering if we can make a army in here, which we're going to need an army in there, that can, now that it's in there, it can get to that front. We'll put an engineer in there. That guy will be perfect. And can we conscript out of somewhere else and ship them to here? I think we can, which is a little bit dirty. I think in theory we would want to conscript out of kind of these smaller places, just because if we raise the conscripts ever, it'll raise the conscripts for all of the conscripts out of these places. And so let's just do this. Let's maybe just do one more of these guys. We have so much available conscription, we're not even at max. I kind of don't want to max out the stack, though, because if we max out the stack here, that's going to create some problems. We could also ask for Kenya and make it primary. There's a decent chance the UK just backs down, but we could also liberate countries out from the UK. Could also transfer. We're going to want to put in a bunch of war goals, so that makes it more likely for them to back down. I don't know if they have to specifically target the UK, though. But also, Would we want to liberate a whole bunch of these? Well, we could liberate... I don't think we have an interest in, like, Scotland. We don't have an interest in Canada. I suppose we have a little bit of time to put an interest in Canada. So let's maybe move the interest over here and try and liberate Newfoundland. Something like this. We'll make the observation army. We'll put them up here. We actually have a front with the UK. A couple fronts. Several fronts. And so we're going to be looking to... try and land them after they assign guys to the fronts. And we do have a big navy stack with 20 ironclads that I think will actually be able to fight their navy. So we will be using these guys. Overall, though, things are... Ooh, this guy's... Well, he's not popular. We'll just promote him and hope that doesn't come back to bite us when we're trying to force multiculturalism. Alright. They are worried. Okay, we're gonna mobilize up more and see how this goes. Alright, so the war is afoot, and the fat stack has arrived. Of course, they have basically no organization, so that's gonna be a struggle, at least initially. We have them all on all pushing, which is maybe a bit of a mistake, but this is gonna be a lot of dudes. A lot of bros coming in hot. Now, we're gonna take a look here, and it does seem like they do have some sort of stack defending. What we're gonna do is we're gonna move our navy over here, with the hopes of being able to enforce on the UK, or at least force the UK out. And then we are going to be moving another navy over here to try and land South Bengal with a cheeky, just kind of normal landing squad, and see if we can get in there. We'll see if, yeah, this will be the thing. We also do have Washington, Oregon, Idaho et al. Army, which we are going to assign up here. We are going to use this army eventually to try and land the UK, but for now we might as well just push through here. And we do have a couple stacks elsewhere in some various places. We put a whole bunch of stuff at the front of the queue to try and help us out with the war, namely a ton of convoys, because it's going to take a ton of convoys to supply this absolute meme stack, which is probably just gratuitous. I mean, it takes so one of the things that's bad about, you know, you relying so much on conscripts, it does take forever from them to get raised up. And if this guy gets pushed out, that's going to be super big sag for us, to be honest. Hopefully they don't actually get pushed out. But it's looking like we're doing okay on the defensive front. And as long as we can stick in here for, you know, the time it takes for these guys to actually come up on both the organization and the fact that they're only a third mobilized from this 974 stack, we should be in okay shape. They're not moving to defend over here, which is fantastic news for us. We're moving to kind of wreck their navy over here. I think that while they have an overall bigger navy, the AI doesn't manage their navy size like properly at all. Actually, they only have 100 flotillas. Have they been deleting their army? Because they had to have been. They maybe have been deleting their army because in order to maintain the fight with us, or maintain the what is it, the bankroll. We're barely losing money here too. We're doing super okay. Super okay. We have just a very strong economic base. We got the Stonks achievement as well. Big nice. I forget what that you even get that for. But yeah, we're just hoping we don't get pushed out here. And it's looking like we're not going to. It's also looking like we're not making progress, but that's fine. We have plenty of soldiers to spare. We don't really care who gets wood chippered, as long as it's both sides. As long as it's both sides. The Army of Florida Men is progressing a little bit slower than I had anticipated, but it's looking like they're starting to hit their stride here with having a higher enough organization to start pushing. I imagine that maybe we should have actually just had them all on defense to start. We're also, you know, kind of wrecking havoc with our, you know, landing squad, moving it to and fro. I think that as soon as looks like we have someone touching the front, which we do now, we're just going to come back over here with this army, and we're just going to let them push out this front. It's really not a big deal. The real prize is going to be over here, which this is Southeast India or Southeast Asia in terms of the strategic region. So even if they have someone here, it won't defend. But this can push into the capital super fast. If I recall correctly, the capital is actually on the coast here. But you know, I often don't recall correctly. It is on the coast. So all we have to do is take that, and we will have the capital of that place, which will be super nice for us. We are starting to get pushes into here, though. They cannot resist the army of course, Florida men, which is coming in hot. All conscript army, but who needs regulars when you got conscripts like that? We might need some regulars. What's going on here? Looks like they've committed a huge portion of their stack over here, and there's no one defending the homelands. So, if that's going to be the case, my guys, we're going to need to just send the smallest of stacks. We're going to send these guys to try and land this. And if they don't send anyone back, great. If they send someone back, also great. We see, of course, all the navies instantly converge. They'll try and block us up from there. We're going to swap all these guys onto defend front, as much as we like pillaging, and hope that they can just hold out. They do have conscripts arisen. Oof. See, the problem is all the Florida men like to go together, and we really should have had more than one unit, and these guys are getting gummed up, but we're pushing into there too. Now, can we enforce them below 0 with our current situation? We can. Oh, wait, I think we actually don't even have to do anything because the war goal's on. Yeah, we actually don't have to do anything because the war goal's on these guys, and they'll just, like, capitulate out, which is, like, the stupid mechanic. But if you have a war goal on a subject, and you can capitulate out the other guy, then you just will. Which is a little bit of nonsense. It's also probably would have been stronger overall for us to transfer it, but that's not how we're playing. I think we should be able to stabilize from here, though, with these guys. And it looks like, maybe not. That is not how we drew it up. We're gonna swap these guys over to this front and see if they can advance in while the other stack holds. And also, we need a little bit of magic here. We do have this unit for kind of shenanigans. We're gonna try and reland our own country. Oh, the China army's not. We're not even using them. Okay, we're gonna use them, raise the conscripts, and bring them in back over here. Terrible. That is a thing, huh? East India Liberal Revolt. Well, I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. Or I can't say I'm not surprised, but I think we're going to abandon this front, and oh, looks like they're already headed over there, because there is no more front to be had, but this means that we should be in, I don't even know what's actually ends up happening here as a result of this, if they get released and then have the revolt. We might be in for some very strangeness. Hopefully we get to this front in time. Looking like we are getting to this front in time, but then, okay. Not sure what we're supposed to do. I guess the Florida men are just going to do what they do best and push. Push very, very easily. Is that 100% when they have someone on the front? Do they have someone on the front and we still have 100%? Hot diggity damn. Maybe that's... Oh, no, wait, no. This guy wasn't even there. So... I think that means we're in okay shape for enforcing. We just have to reclaim our capital. Otherwise, we lose. If we don't reclaim the capital, we lose, but this should be a fairly easy exercise because they don't defend properly in these instances, and so when the China army gets here, they will save us because they will just insta-land. So we might get decayed below 0, but it should be fine. Should be fine. Should be TM. So I just realized there's this kind of asinine situation where we actually can get enforced on because this is targeting our subject, and anything that's targeting your subject, you actually can't defend, even if we haven't fully occupied Congo, but they would enforce on us anyways because this war goal targets Congo, not us. But we can just trade war goals here. We don't really care about any of the other stuff we put in. We just want to liberate the British East India Company, and I'm really curious to see what happens with this rev if we just lib here. So we'll just put this in, and by this rev I mean this East Indian peasant revolt. So we'll just liberate here, and then now we have East India. Do we see East India collapse, and then the peasant revolt? How's this going to play out? Looks like the peasant revolt is probably going to resolve first. Okay. That's interesting. Makes sense. Alright. Alright, so with peace at hand, we are now making a ton of money now that we finally stood down the army of Florida men. And this is going to allow us to add a ton more construction. We're also going to roll back the taxes to kind of previous low-ish levels that we had before. This isn't going to bring us up to a new kind of threshold, but it is going to help the SOL, which has been dropping a little bit. We are going to eventually want to work on keeping the SOL high in order to maintain the migration. Well, actually... We could just want more. We probably actually just want more construction here. Looking around for laws, just wanted to make note that, okay, we can go compulsory primary school. We're not passing legal guardianship because this makes it harder for us to roll a humanitarian or an enlightened royalist, which we would like to try and roll, and so we will be doing that. We also are trying to go after Minas Gerais here as kind of a little bit of a war we're declaring, you know, just continuing to expand in South America, but keen to see how this resolves, because I think what ends up happening here is that when the East India Revolt is put down, which I think they're receiving help from the UK, so that we'll see a complete collapse of the East India Company, or East India rather. I think they have to be at peace for the event to fire, but they will get an event that will break them up. They do not always choose to be broken up, but I think they usually choose to be broken up. Well, poor Susan Anthony. Shout out to Susan B. Anthony. We also have a ton of these wars for various, like, native uprisings, and so we're going to be involved for a little bit, but when the smoke clears, we probably will have, like, 1500-ish construction, just be cranking away, and the population should be going up. The next order of business is going to be finding ourselves a general who is popular and is of the right persuasion. And for that, we're going to have to wait for feminism, and then we can enroll humanitarians or enlightened royalists. We also can roll anarchists on the rural folk, and we have a really powerful rural folk, so this is maybe we go for rural folk, anarchism following this. This would also be reasonable as well. But before we won't want to go women in the workplace until after we manage to get onto multiculturalism, because it's a little bit harder to do that following the other one. Alright, so we hit a bit of an amusing situation. We actually have the petite bourgeoisie as the most powerful, country, or the powerful IG in the country. And we also have Dear Joshua Norton as an agitator. Now, we have an election finishing in 5 days as well. So, in this election, whoever's the leader of the PB will become president. So, if we just grant him leadership, which we will, which of course is going to make our government a little more contested, because these democracy lovers are suddenly very uncomfortable with the presence of a monarchist such as Joshua Norton, soon to be Emperor Norton. But we're in actually just perfect situation to just, spike this. And so 4, 3, 2, 1, the winner of the election, of course, will be Dear Joshua Norton. Less than a day, Joshua is our new president. Big nice. And now we get to paint the perfect narrative. We're going to have the best freaking title for this video ever. Joshua Norton frees the Indians, because the Indians are free. Not those Indians, but the other Indians are free. And so now, we could... Who needs this schools business? Except for, I think it's actually probably reasonable for us to pass this. But after this, we can go for this. Now, this will make the trade unions mad enough to leave the government, which is unfortunate. Especially because, well, they're actually powerful now. But if they're actually powerful now, them leaving the government's not the end of the world. It just will be really, really hard to get them back in the government, because we currently have this weird psychopathic situation where the industrialists are not in, and so this makes it so that we could keep these guys in the government with this other group that the industrialists are supposed to be a part of. If we take these guys out, how legitimate are we? We're super, super righteous. So if we try and pass this and these guys leave the government, we will become maximally righteous, and I think it's time, well, actually, we just have this 25%, we got a low tick anyways. Let's not do any of this. Let's not stand on ceremony here, Mr. Wayne, and let's instead just go for monarchy. Now, this, of course, is gonna... the Intelligentsia is not gonna like this one bit. The socialists are really gonna hate it. And so, we're saying goodbye to the chance to use the socialists to pass laws, basically, with our current setup, but, on the flip side, Emperor Norton. And there we go, Phase 1, mission accomplished. With the aid of Joshua Norton at the helm, we have freed the Indians from the tyrannical reign of the English. No longer do the English control any of these guys. I said any of these guys. We'll have to go to Bengal itself, and we can see that their primary culture is Bengali, which means they will allow Bengali people to leave, which is very important. Even though they are on migration controls, they will allow the Bengali people to leave. And in letting the Bengali people leave, they can come to the United States, as long as we accept them, which we currently don't. But we are going to be floating the authority, trying to pass monarchy faster in order to get Joshua Norton on the throne. And we will also be running a whole bunch of trade with these guys. If we can pull them into the customs union, that's also fantastic. And also, really good opportunities for trade with all of these guys. So this is going to be really valuable for us. If we can pull them into the customs union, great. If not, we're still going to try and get onto, following getting feminism, we're still going to try and get onto something that will allow us to pass multiculturalism, which will be fantastic for us. It's sad that we lost the trade unions in this exchange, but, I mean, if we can just have a hyper-righteous government while having monarchy, while having Joshua Norton for all this extra authority, that's going to be good enough for us. Alright, so we unlock feminism, so the time of rolling has begun, and we also do First Transcontinental Railway, which is an event. We maybe should have left this event off, because if I recall correctly, it gives a ton of migration attraction, wait, what is it? New Mexico, Nebraska, Colorado, Wyoming versus... let's settle the West Coast. This one gives a ton of migration attraction. In theory, perhaps we should have left it off until after we pass multiculturalism. But now we have feminism unlocked, so we can roll for multiculturalists. However, we have more pressing matters, which of course is getting dear Joshua Norton on the throne. So we're not going to roll for a humanitarian just yet, because we would hate to roll for one and then have them die. And instead, we will just stick in with monarchy. But then we'll have a little bit of a discussion as to what tech we want to go. I think we kind of want to go pump jacks so we can start using, so here's the thing. If we go pump jacks, we unlock the oil, and we unlock, automatic irrigation. Automatic irrigation's real good, but we don't have that many plantations. We just only have chops. So then it's like the oil, but we don't really have any oil demand, nor are we close to any particularly good oil demand. So this seems like a little bit of a trap, because we want to go this, because we have a really good oil company, but it's just too soon. So shout out to the La Carta outside. So instead, I think that we're going to go... So really, really tempting to go civilizing mission into malaria prevention here, but maybe we just go investment banks first. The thing is, we can go ahead of time. We have no production tech and mat spreading, so we can be more aggressive with going ahead of time on stuff, and maybe we just actually want to go... We could go monitor. The thing is, our army's already really, really strong, so I think maybe we just go into malaria prevention. Now, let's do investment banks into malaria prevention. I think I like this. Taking a break from a lot of the production tech. We're kind of on the cutting edge. We are, even building more universities. We have a level 51 in Beijing, which is causing us to, have quite a bit of overflow. We would want more literacy. We're working on that. But the level 51 in Beijing that we have is overflowing over the soft cap of the 132, and so our direct research can't be sped up, and our natural spread is somewhat stymied by the fact that we're on the bleeding edge, so we're not actually spreading any sort of type of production tech. So we'll avoid the production tech for a little while because we want someone else to research it, and instead we'll go society tech. Society tech's a lot more flat. There's like a lot of options here, so someone else is going to be researching some of these options, and so us getting an additional company will be great, and plus I think that we will generally, we could just blast for malaria prevention, to be honest. I mean, maybe this is the way. Maybe this is the way. We just get it super early, we kind of lock in us getting a pretty consistent gnat spread, and then we maybe can come back for trench work, something like this. It also allows us to go Panama Canal, which we kind of like, but this is not spreading to us anyways. Let's just go mutual funds into malaria prevention. I think that's fine enough. It's always nice when Prussia's just free, right? Always nice. I think this religious revolt just beats regular Prussia anyways. They don't have any assistance. I guess they don't have a lot mobilized. We are actually having a ton of trouble landing on Egypt here, actually, though. Which is a little bit rough, because we don't have regular armies. We have conscripts only, and we don't want to raise the Florida men, because we should have at least moved. We're going to move the Florida men to the front. We can't unless we mobilize. Can we mobilize? We could raise the Florida men, but there's 1,300 Florida men. For whatever reason, we cannot move the HQ unless they have a unit. I guess we'll build one unit, and of course I know what state we're going to build it in. The Florida men. We're going to build it in here, so that we can hopefully be able to ship them. Kind of been struggling to make this front work. Do they fully occupy Libya here? Looks like they do fully occupy Libya, so we're actually going to cancel this naval invasion here. And we're instead going to navally invade Libya to try and maintain this front. Ooh, we're not at war with Tripolitania? Bro, but who occupied? Okay, whatever. We can't land Sinai directly, because then we'd have to go around to the other side. So we'll just do this. And, I mean, it looks like we have a front. Okay, so it looks like this is just graphically incorrect. Egypt occupies it, but they don't. Because we deoccupied it. Something like this. Classic. But with the one unit that has been raised in Florida, as you can see, also, the things are going relatively slow. Ooh, no, 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 no. No, what happened here? Why the yeoman farmers, man? Where's an authoritarian one of these guys when you need them, huh? I guess this one. Now, authoritarian wants to... Oh, they like presidential republic still. Shoot. No, no, no. Please, no. I mean, this is a new movement. We could exile the agitator. The agitator might... This might kill the movement. I don't think it will. We'll see if it does. Certainly will weaken it. Intelligentsia are already mad at us anyways. But we can't have these guys pull out of government. If these guys pull out of government, then we'll have a very significant problem. If they don't, then we'll be okay. I don't know exactly how this is gonna roll out. They should be out of government, but they're not for whatever reason. I mean, we have... Okay. Now it's much less critical. We have 81% and we're on study, so we should be in reasonable shape. Looks like we're having a little bit of a struggle bus there. And so it's time for the Florida men. There comes every time in a man's life, every Florida in a man's life, when he must become a man and Florida into the enemy. He can't reach the front. Fantastic. Oh, but this front... Hold up. Looks like Russia's siding against us anyways. So the Florida men will come in useful here. So we'll move them over there. The Chinese army, I think we have fully mobilized. We can't move them because they're currently involved in a fight. We will re-land. This landing's going nowhere here. So we'll just cancel it. We'll wait a tick. That way we could re-land. And we'll re-land up here to just renew the front. And this is what we've been doing as we've been struggling here. But this should present an opportunity. We are recruiting up the Florida men. This will be very, very, very expensive, as the Florida men always are. Alright, so the Florida men have arrived, or are arriving at this front over here. Currently, Russia's in chaos. We did manage to land over here, and we are pushing it all back, which is going to mean an enforcement on Egypt somewhat soon. The revolution now is at a modest 90, and we are at, you know, kind of the voting stage, so I'm anticipating that we get this in. Florida men are almost here. Once the Florida men arrive, the Russians will run in terror, because there's truly no sort of means by which you can fight such men as these Florida men once they get to the front. Please get to the front. You're our only hope. Also, if this war drags on a really long time, 1350 conscripts is a lot of conscripts. That is going to be real expensive. We are also coming in and building a 31 uni in New York, which should help out, and we get civilizing mission, big nice. We have over 1k bureaucracy, which was definitely intentional, because we wanted to, as soon as possible, survey the Panama Isthmus, and so we will be doing that. And I think that what we could do is, with this regular army, actually, we're not going to need it yet. We're trying to land here in Luhansk. We have another landing up here. Unfortunately for them, they do have issues in terms of organization, because they were a newly recruited army. This is pretty meta for going for Russia. You just backdoor them, and eventually they're going to have very significant problems. We need to occupy them, though, here in terms of this revolution as quickly as we can. So we're going to actually... Alright, okay, it looks like... Yeah, okay, it looks like it's pushing in all directions now. This front is now unified. It's unfortunate we can't get to these other fronts, you know, with the Prussia stuff, but we will hopefully be able to push through and take the cap here. I think we will put the cap as the strategic objective here. for Prussia, because this is going to be the most important place for us to take for the religious revolt, and hopefully Russia pulls back quite a large sum of their army from here once we manage to get a landing. But even if they don't, I mean, this is a 400 stack right now, but it's going to be a 1350 stack. So we are just now a week away from the crowning of dear Emperor Norton. It looks like we might not be able to get the Prussia thing in hand in time because they are not doing so well, or Revolutionary Prussia is not doing too well. And we do get Emperor Norton. Big nice. The emperor has been crowned. He was, of course, the savior of the Indian people, liberating them, as one does. We will still probably be able to get some decent things off on Russia that we had put in on them, but at least for this war here. In fact, we could do all of it right now, but I think we actually, do we want a front here? Does the front stay? The front was going to stay because of the Prussian religious revolt. And we don't want our other stuff getting bricked, to be honest. Oh, Russia doesn't even accept that. So we'll continue fighting. But what we need is we need to get into here faster. And I don't think that we can take down Prussia. Although, I don't know if we can take... Yeah, we can't take down Prussia fast enough. The religious revolt, which is whom we sided with, is going to go down either way. You know, because they can't be controlled below 0. Even if we control their capital, this type of thing, they will just gradually tick down, which is kind of the way it works. It's not symmetric. Where is the religious revolt's capital? They're barely occupied, but anyways. We see a capitulation there, which leaves just us versus Russia. I think we're going to put in a few more pushing guys, because they're not coming to do anything about this, so we'll just put in a couple more guys on offense here and try and get this thing in. But very most importantly, we got Joshua Norton on the throne. Now, unfortunately, we can't bring in the trade union like we could before. We could bring in the Industrialists. We could have this nice and legitimate party, and this is probably what we're going to have to do. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a look around for the ability for us to get humanitarian or an enlightened royalist, an enlightened royalist, much like Joshua Norton himself, very enlightened. That way we can pass multiculturalism, which is kind of the next step, the next phase in terms of what we are going to be doing for this run in order to siphon off all those Indian migrants, in order to bring the Indians back to North America. And there we have found him, our enlightened royalist, whom we will recruit and promote to max. Now, we're not going to pass this property to women, or we're not going to pass... Actually, you know what we're going to do? Well, actually, no. We're going to placate this movement. We're going to pass property to women real quick first, and then we're going to go multiculturalism. Also, I forgot that because they're our subject now, they actually can't just enforce Revolutionary Prussia out. They have to actually force us out of the play, at which point Revolutionary Prussia will capitulate immediately. So it actually does look like we will be getting Prussia as a subject here. It's just going to be very expensive at this tail end here, because the Florida men have demands. We're going to actually promote a couple of these guys up because they we need higher level generals to lead this many troops, to lead the good old 1,500 conscript army. But now we're just like rolling through Russia, and so Russia is probably not going to be long for this world. We are trying to get a landing in. Looks like they're probably going to bring back too many guys to defend it. But seeing as here, let's shuffle this stuff around a little bit and move more guys to front, because the Florida men no longer need assistance. This is a 600 stack army, and they're getting in there. And we enforce on Russia just as the army of Florida men reaches 1,000 battalions. We're of course going to stand them down. We do have a native uprising, and that stand down, I'm expecting that. It's going to be curious to see the money. We see goods for military buildings at like 900,000 here, and military wages not that high, but you know, still pretty substantive, paying over $1 million a week for our military. And if we stand these guys down, hey, look, it's minus 800k. All right, so that's going to be that for, that war. We do now have Prussia as a subject, big nice, in the Archducal American market. But I think we're going to conclude the episode here. This episode, we did manage to get dear Joshua Norton on the throne, and he saved the Indians. That's right. Joshua Norton freed the Indians from their subservience. They were subjugated, they were, put down, they were ruled over unfairly, and of course, he set the Indians free. So that was pretty nice of him. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, do the YouTube algorithm thing, and other than that, have a good day.